Our guest is the founder and CEO of Oak Antique Interiors, an award-winning and arguably one of the fastest-growing interior design companies in Africa. Through her focused leadership, the company has continuously expanded within and beyond the shores of Nigeria by delivering world-class services to clients in Dubai, Rwanda, Ghana, and United States. Her educational background includes a first degree in industrial mathematics from Covenant University and a second degree in financial mathematics and computation from the University of Leicester, United Kingdom, and an honorary doctorate degree in leadership and humanity from Miles University. She has received entrepreneurial nominations and awards, including the 2023 Eloy Entrepreneur of the Year Award.
My guest today is Morenike Molehin. Round of applause, round of applause. Welcome, welcome. And it's so good to have you here. I'm super excited about the conversation we're going to have today. And I'm sure everybody on the call is excited as well, Morenike. So Morenike, right? I mean, I know that you actually didn't start out being an entrepreneur from like day one, right? So when exactly did you decide that you wanted to be an entrepreneur? Tell us about that.
All right. Thank you, Tommy. Thank you so much again for having me. And I'm really excited. Let's have some fun. So I always say that entrepreneurship chose me, right? And you might wonder, what does that even mean? So growing up, I never thought that I could be an entrepreneur. I just always like dreamt of, working in the corporate organization. I did my internship at a bank, and then I did my NYC at ExxonMobil, which is an oil and gas company. And I just, really loved, working as a corporate person. So in my mind, I just thought as an entrepreneur, maybe because you did not find job. So you just decided that you wanted to be an entrepreneur. It wasn't so enticing at the time for me. And also because I think because I have 2 degrees in mathematics, I always just thought, I wanted to work in a financial institution, and that was just my dream. So when I got married, and I think I've shared this a number of times, when I got married, as a young couple then, it was really exciting to do up our space, our house at the time, like very cute, very pretty, very demure, everything. So we're just like, okay. I did up the space, and we would always get compliments. Everyone that walks into the house to come and visit, my husband's friends, well, it doesn't really have friends. My friends, my family, like people just, just come in and always compliment. And for me, it's funny because I never even took it, like I took it for granted. Like it never even just occurred to me that, okay, people are complimenting you. Why don't you do this as a business? He had to take my husband to draw my attention to it, to say, people are really complimenting this. Are you sure you don't want to give it a thought? And immediately I dismissed it, of course. I was like, no, like because you're passionate about something, because you can do something well, doesn't necessarily mean that you have to do it as a business. Just maybe like a side, maybe just like a hobby. And like I help friends, if they want to do up their homes, I can just go and help them, just be very happy and excited to help them, right? I'm not like, no, just consider this as a business. Right now you're working, right? Just dedicate maybe 2 or 3 days in a week, and put, like, just start it. And if you think that after 1 year this is not what you want to do, then you can quit. At least you know that you tried. Not that you then say, and what if I had done this as a business? What if I've done this? And then 11 years after, we are still here. I say that that's like one of the biggest scams that my husband scammed me with, because it's like, just do it. You know how it is now, when they push inside water, you find a way, you will share, you will float, you will not die. Hopefully. So and then along the line, I'm so grateful that we made that decision and we are here today. So yes, like I said,
Fantastic.
entrepreneurship
So I really
chose me.
like that line, entrepreneurship chose you, right? Because it just seems like it's just something you had to surrender to. Now, Morenike, you as an entrepreneur, I know that you are also an investor, right? Which is what we really want to dig into today, because we all know that today you can't just have one stream of income and say, oh, I'm an entrepreneur and just my business gives me income, right? I also know you're an investor. So at what point, I'm just going to try and see if you can nail it down. Did you decide that, yeah, my business is earning revenue, but I think that I have to build an investment portfolio as well? At what point did that happen for you?
Okay, so honestly, I think that, so I can't really pinpoint the exact like year that it really started. But I know there was a particular year, this was 2018 thereabout. But before then, I had already signed up for your investment club because I'd been hearing about it, I'd known about this Tommy Balogun, and I was just like, let me take my life seriously. Like, but before then, to be honest, we were just making ends meet. Like, okay, as a business person, you just want to make profits. And sometimes the profits, you just feel like this profit is not even enough to even start investing. So by the end of the year, maybe what will be remaining in the accounts, maybe that time be like 50K or 100K. And you're thinking, what can you really do with it? Even though back then, maybe like 8 years ago, it was quite, maybe not quite, it was at least maybe reasonable, maybe just like under $1,000 at the time. So you're just like, what can you really do with it? Then I remember I think, then I joined up, I signed up, I kept on seeing it. I'm like, you know what? Let me just have at least financial literacy. Let me join this investment club. Maybe there'll be something for me. Worst case, there might be a time where they're going to batch people together. So maybe my own $500 and other people's $5,000 all together. We shall invest something. Like let me even just be learning this thing so that when I hammer finally, I can, or when I hit it big, I can then be able to invest. Well, now I think it was 2018, 1 December. The mother was like, come first. Every year, when you have been ending the year, you don't used to end it with plenty money in your business account. What is happening? Like it's almost like as you make money, then something is coming up, you're spending it again on, and it's not like I'm just spending it frivolously or anything. Like it's just like something is usually coming up where we're investing back into the business and things like that. So he now said, you know what? I think I want to challenge you that next year, make sure that the minimum amount that you have in your account as you close the year should not be anything less than 10 million. I was like, how do we want to do this? But sometimes if you don't have like that goal, like if you don't set that goal, you will not even know whether you can achieve it or not. So I said, okay, last now, even if you make 5 million, at least it's better than from where I'm coming from, the 100K, 200K. And somehow, I was just able to re-strategize, knowing that okay, I have this goal, like I need to hit it. So maybe unnecessary spendings. I was more strategic in making some business decisions, and there was just something that I just shuffled around. And by the end of that year, truly, or by the end of the next year, truly, I then had this 10 million sitting in the business account, and I felt like I had, I had arrived, I had achieved, like, like I was not like, oh God, what? No, you're on mute.
Yeah, so I really want to touch on that because it started with you deciding to agree. Maybe you didn't set the goal yourself, but setting goals. And that's something that I always tell people, that if you don't have a goal, right, you haven't even started yet because you haven't defined a destination. And for your business, it's very important that you have a goal. It's not enough to just say, I'm making money and I'm spending money. Business is, but your husband said at the end of the year, you should have cash sitting in your account.
Yes,
then you will now become a kid of
that. Yeah, so you can imagine that after I saw that one, like this, I was like, next year, let's do 50.
double 50.
Let's do. So like it was really, and it was very, very encouraging and really inspiring for me to say that, okay, you set this goal. And obviously there's sacrifices that I also had to make at, in that period as well. And so with that amount, just knowing that, okay, this has happened, I knew that, anytime I set a financial goal or target, I will hit it. And like I just knew that there was something there. So yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, let's speak to young entrepreneurs these days that are running their businesses, and for them it's more like, look, I'm even just trying to get more business and make more money. What are the key things would you say helped you in running your business and in making financial decisions to ensure that you could meet that goal? What were they key things you had to do? Did you have to start paying attention to your numbers, did you focus on making more money, managing your expenses? I want you to be a bit more practical, because today most people are just like, please, I'm just trying to survive with my business and everything. So I know it's good to set a goal, but what else did you do?
Okay, so there's this phrase that I normally say and use a lot. And for me, I say cut cost at all costs. So every time that I needed to make a decision on spending, I would ask myself, like, is this the best routes to, use my money to do this? Do I have like alternatives? So for example, maybe I like want to train maybe staff in the organization. I'm thinking instead of getting trainers that will come to train us and then we now have to pay them, can we do something on like Coursera, and then will still give us the same effect? We're not really spending so much money. So that's what I mean by like cutting costs at all costs. Now I also had to sit down and understand that my business is majorly like a service-based business. It's a service-based business, right? So it's not like it's products where, or like a restaurant where you come inside and buy food and sit down and eat. My business is not like that. So I also had to sit down to understand my business, because at the time I was thinking, oh, I needed to open like a showroom or open like a studio. And I was thinking, okay, if I open this studio or open this showroom, how many of my clients would actually come in? Because people that I'm serving, they're people that are, either high network individuals or, just affluent people that are above like average in terms of like income earnings. They are busy. They're not going to like really come and sit down and start talking to you. You're the one that will actually even go and meet them. So I had to understand this and said, okay, there's really no need. So even before COVID hit, we're already doing virtual. So my company has been doing virtual like for the past 11 years. The only thing we just do is, once in a month, we then try to see, have like our physical meeting so that we can have like some interaction. Not that you don't see your colleagues in like 1 year and you're wondering, okay, next time you see them, oh my goodness, yeah, you're already growing beards and stuff like that. So we just do that once in a month, just for communal activities. But I haven't seen yet the reason why, and we've been successful at it, to God's glory, for 11 years. So, and I can imagine how much would have been running, or how much would have been spending if if you had gotten a space. First of all, there's a particular area I would have to get a studio or a showroom because of the kind of clients, right? I cannot go and get studio in, no offense, maybe in Okpaja or Egbeda or something. My clients will not come there. So it will just be only me. So the places I have to set up, I will set up the rent will be high. Then I have to do it to a certain taste and level, like just so many things. And there's some things that it's until you enter into it before you realize the kind of cost that will be coming. So that's when is it Lasana? These people that do this advertising agents, they will come and meet you. They say you're not paid for this. Lama will
Exactly.
come, you're not yet paid for this one.
Yeah.
Generator, and then now that fuel has skyrocketed. So all these things, like we don't even understand what it means, because we are not running it. And that's what it means by understanding your business, understanding where you are at. It's not everything that when you start as an entrepreneur, it's not everything that you have to do. Start small, but think big, yeah? But as you're thinking, as you're growing organically, you can then begin to add this thing, as long as it is sensible to you. I remember there was a time, I think maybe 4 or 5 years, just before COVID happened, I was looking at my other colleagues and I'm like, they're opening shop, they're posing in their offices and everything, and it's looking very cute and like a boss madam. And I just told my husband, me too, I want to go and open my own, and like we can afford this, like what's the, like we can afford it, like we are big, not that we're big, like we are big enough to be able to afford it. And
Yeah.
I remember I was walking into the room, and on the corridor, I was just telling him casually. Me, I was even just telling him like, I've made up my mind kind of situation. I was like, okay, no problem. And then he began to ask me certain questions. We talked and talked. I think we stood on that corridor for like 3 hours. By the
Wow.
time he was done with me, I was like, wow. I then realized that I did not have my motive at the time was just based off on I wanted to compete with my colleagues. And that's actually not even the kind of person that I am. But sometimes as individuals, you can get in your feelings that it seems like this other person is really moving far, and then you're just stuck. But you'll be surprised if you go into their world, you realize that you might even be better off. And
Yeah.
and so yeah, so that's basically, some of the things that I would advise,
Yeah.
entrepreneurs, that if you
So
can.
many
Yeah.
nuggets in all,
Yeah.
everything you said, right? So many nuggets, understanding your customers, knowing who you serve, and then being able to make the right decisions on your expenses. Now, as an entrepreneur myself, I've been there. I know when you start paying for office space and you don't realize that, oh my God, this thing is actually, I look back on some of my financial statements, like, what were we doing? Like, we could have just continued working remotely. So I totally understand it, right? Because you just realize you could have saved a lot of money. Yes, we had the money, we're making a lot of money, but did we really have to? And now that fuel costs are high in Nigeria, it's
Perhaps
like
have converted that money to dollars and be reaping.
we'll soon
But
get there,
anyways,
right? So just even in running your business, because before you start thinking about even setting a goal to say that you want to, have some money or some cash to start building additional income streams or building an investment portfolio, your business has to run properly, right? And those are
Yes,
the things
yes.
to consider, right? So let's come to you making investment decisions. Tell us about the very first investment you made as an entrepreneur. Was it low risk? Was it high risk? Did you just say, okay, I just want to invest and I don't care if I lose my money, I just want to invest? Or because I find that a lot of entrepreneurs, some of them, I work with a couple of clients, and it's more like, look, low risk, my business is already high risk. So what was your...
So it's interesting. This question is interesting to me because normally as an individual, like I like to believe that I'm high risk, like in terms of like my outlook to life. Like I'm adventurous, I'm a happy go person, like really, really just excited and everything. You would think that that's the same mindset
Use
that
your
I would
money.
carry. That no, it did not occur like that. As an Ijebu girl, it didn't occur. I'm careful. Do you understand? It's like I cannot go and explain this thing to my board. So I think that for me, I'm sort of like between low risk and medium. So my very first investment, let me not lie to you, was before MMM. there,
Oh my goodness.
there was one that time. I had just gotten married. I wasn't working. My mom would go to work. I was jobless. So I think there was somebody, maybe that time on BlackBerry, somebody just sent a message that, oh, if you pay, if you 10,000, it was 10,000. I remember, no, what 5,000? It was either 5,000 or 10,000 at that time. Now, if you should pay this 10,000, that multi-level marketing thing, then you go and bring 10 people, and then,
Yeah,
so
it's become 1
anytime
million.
I was so excited. I was like, oh my goodness, like I'm about to start, making money, raking it and everything. Then I went to pay that money. I remember very well. Now around that time, 7 upside. I went to pay the money, collected form, everything, and I got back home to my husband that I'm about to make it in life. That this is what my mother said. You have been scammed. I said no. I cannot be scammed. So I was like, no, it's going to work out. Like I have friends, like I know people, just for me to convince 10 people, just 10 people. That one is easy now. Almost no, not one person or two people even answered me. And I think it was later on that I realized that okay, this wasn't even smart. Because my mom had to explain to me that, see, look, there's no products, there's no service. What are people paying? Why? Like, how is this thing going to crumble at the end of the day? So by the time he sat me down, I think my mom had been sitting me down for a long time. He sat me down and I looked at it and like, okay, that's true actually. And then I just closed it. So that was my first investment and it went south. But I thank God I was just either 5,000 or 10,000. Let's just say 10,000. So it wasn't something magnanimous. So when MMM actually even came, I did not even like the thing didn't even tempt me once because I already understood the principle of,
Yeah.
somehow like, okay, it doesn't make sense and all of that. So now to your question on when I try to remember the question again, sorry.
I was trying to say your first investment as an entrepreneur, do you
Yes, yes,
take
yes.
low
So, so, so,
risk
so,
or high
so,
risk?
so for me, I think that my first investment, to be honest, I was having a discussion with someone, and she mentioned to me, she said, "Oh, Rennie, no matter how much you have now, just try to always like convert to dollars, and then try to put it maybe like in mutual fund, and then let it just." Be growing from there. And then every money that you get, just convert and all of that. And she gave me the advice. When she gave me the advice, dollar was still like around 450 or 460. And then I think it was like a few months after that I spoke to you about it as well. And then you told me about like an investment thing that, we both, did. And I remember that time when I was now about to change the money, I think it was maybe like it was now like 510. I was like,
It
oh,
was
no, 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 no,
500.
dollar will come down.
It was 500. Remember,
It
it
was
was
500 exactly. It was
Yeah, Naira
500.
to
I just kept saying, no, dollar will come down. It's come down. Like, oh, do you know that at the end of the day, I still changed that thing at maybe 560 because I kept on believing that. And at that time, I felt so so stupid, like, so, like, how did you wait? Like, why did you wait? Why didn't you just do it immediately? And that lesson alone taught me that every time, like, when you just have the opportunity, seize it immediately. Now, do you know what we will give for dollar to go back to 500 and
Tell me
like
about
60?
it. Right?
But
Tell me
so
about
I was saying that in the last like 4 or 5 years, let's say be like three, this is 2021 self. In the last like 3 years, I think I've changed dollars in different numbers, like
rates. Right?
560, 6 something, 7 something, 8 something, 9, 1. Even as I still did the same, this investment thing, I still did this yesterday, and it was
Yeah.
at 1.7,
Yeah.
right? Which is really, because I was not even telling my husband that the amount that I changed yesterday wasn't even up to 20%. What I changed 3 years ago is like times three of what I changed. I don't know how
Yeah.
to explain that, but
Yeah. I
like
think I
the
was 4 years.
value is
The
just crazy.
devaluation of the
Like
naira. Yeah.
it was just crazy. So
Yeah.
that's like one thing that I'm grateful for. So investing in dollar mutual funds, even a little bit of naira mutual funds, also government bonds as well,
Eurobond. Yeah.
euro bonds rather, yeah, euro bonds, and then proceeded to real estate,
Right. So
right?
before we talk
So
about real estate, right? I mean, guys, we are patriotic Nigerians, right? When we talk about changing money to another currency. But I think that a lot of entrepreneurs need to understand that you need to understand the economic situation of the country that you do business in, right? Because basically what you were doing, you were hedging against the risk of the
yes,
devaluation of the
yes,
naira.
yes,
And I
yes.
remember that time I told you, I was like, this thing, we don't see it getting
Mm,
stronger. And I thought, let's
mm,
invest in a dollar. Because for us in my community, I thought, we did the analysis. And I always tell people that I think that COVID made things happen sooner. We already saw that it was going to be a devaluation.
mm,
I guess nobody
mm,
expected it to become this bad, right? And
mm.
we just knew that it was time to begin to think about dollar denominated options. Why? Because you need to hedge against the risk. And that's what an investor does. You protect the value of your investment, right? That
Mm,
doesn't mean
mm,
you have naira and dollar, but you decide. But at that point,
mm.
it's no risk and it made sense for you, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk
Mm.
about real estate because well, I wanted us to, talk a bit about your portfolio, then we get into additional questions, right? Because I remember the day you picked up the phone and you called me and you said, I want to invest in land. What were you thinking? You thought, okay, it was time to do something else or what? Just tell me.
So yes, like I think that for me, there were two motivating factors. The first was, okay, as a child of God, you need to have a portion of the earth, right? In terms of like real estate, either land or like building. And then secondly, I think, I've just really been hearing so much about real estate, real estate, real estate, real estate. Like it's just, you just have to have real estate. And I also know that for my dad, I think it was when he turned 40 that he got his first house. And it was such a big deal back then. So I'm just like, okay, this is something I also want to just have as well in my portfolio. And it's for generations to come. So, the house or whatever it is that you have in terms of real estate, something that you can pass down, to and I know how my great grandpa passed things down to my grandpa. It didn't pass to my dad, sure, but yeah, but you get my point. So I was just like, okay. So I remember I called you because I also did not, and one thing that I'm grateful to God for you is that when I call you, I know that I'm in safe hands and I know that I'm not going to make a mistake. So I know that I wanted to do this and I actually didn't want to chicken out. So that's why I then made the call and, you gave me the advices that you gave to me at the time. So I know for real estate, I started first through your guidance on getting like building first and
Property.
got property. Yeah, so bought the first property and then it was later on, moved on to the second one, now on the third one. And it was afterwards I was like, okay, let me mix this real estate, even though I did not speak to you about that one. And you had sort of like spoken to me about it before, but I was just like, you know what, let's just have this land. And I remember one of the things that inspired me was my mentor, Mrs. Aoshika, how she would talk about she had a land, maybe like she bought it for like maybe 10 million, and then 10 years after it was already like, almost like 400 million or something. So I was just like, okay, let's just buy something now. And you never can tell, like this axis, this Lekki axis, back then, it was nothing. Like people were not even coming to this side. And now the value has really gone up. So where I went to buy it, I was like, okay, people are not really looking at that side yet. Let's just buy. And then years to come. I know that it's not something that I might, really use now, maybe for our children and things like that. But I just wanted to just have that in the portfolio, and something just little in terms of like land. And but most of the real estate investment is in buildings.
Right. So you have an interesting portfolio, right? I mean, even if you don't want to give out any details, right? It's more like, what else would you plan to do? Especially knowing that you're still running your business. Your business is still a source of cash flow, right? And you still plan to grow your business, right? Even moving into other markets. If you wanted to say, okay, I want to create wealth today with, additional wealth in my investment portfolio, what would you consider?
I think that I would consider stocks.
Interesting.
Right?
Now you're getting to the
Yes.
mode.
So like, when you're hearing things like, this man invested $100 in Bill Gates' company. Now it's worth 552 billion. And you're thinking, okay, this can be you too.
Yeah.
So for me, I think that it would just be interesting to have, like, before I was completely, you know, I was completely not interested in stocks because of what happened, I think in 2007 or 2006.
7,008.
Yes, on 2008, where many people, where my classmates, my not classmates, like people like in school, then we talk about how their parents, all their life investment, life savings, everything just went down the drain because of the stock market and all of that, and that really scared me. So just like, what, for me, I'm not going to do any stock, any shares and all of that. But now, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but if I'm going to like do stocks and shares and all of that, it will most likely be like on a global scale. So in terms of like, okay, you want to invest in like Tesla, you want to invest in like Instagram, you want to like new things coming up. And so that's one thing that I'm actually even looking
Yeah.
forward
I mean,
to.
so you're definitely a global citizen, right? And
Mhm.
you have access to
Mhm.
stocks beyond the local stock exchange in your market, right? And that's one thing. The
Yeah.
world is more of a global village right now, so you have access.
Mhm.
But what I
Mhm.
really wanted to touch on, and key lessons for a lot of people to really learn, is as an entrepreneur,
Mhm.
right? Even if you consider yourself someone that likes to take risk, maybe not start out with high risk things, because it will really hurt a lot if you lose your hard-earned
Yes, it
money.
will.
Like as an
Yes.
entrepreneur, you put
Yeah.
a lot into building a business. Now that business makes sense, right? You
Yeah.
should probably consider, what are the
Mhm.
options I can do that are low risk and can hedge. And then you can, eventually grow to the point where, like Rennie, now you can say, okay, now let me consider stocks, right?
Mhm.
Even, some people think that, oh, my money is not a lot, you should just do stocks. But the truth is, you can't lose money in stocks, right? You're probably better off sticking to a mutual fund or sticking to a bond, right? Which is why financial education is so key. So just before we get into more things, how would you think financial education has helped you? Because you find that a lot of entrepreneurs are like, I just want to know a lot more about my business, right? And more than ever before, I think it's important that we all know that everybody needs financial literacy and education. It's not even you work 9 to 5 or you're an entrepreneur, even a child needs financial education today, right? So what are your thoughts on that? Especially knowing the economy that we live in today, inflation, evaluation, higher fuel prices, so many things going on. What is the value of financial education and learning how to invest?
I mean, I think that that's just the difference between someone that is financially literate and someone that is not. The difference is actually huge, because just one single information can make the difference, can actually either make or mar your destiny, in short, right? Like a certain person, in terms of, is it like wasabi, say info lay of info. So like information is what will make you fly. Sorry,
Yes,
I'm
sir.
quoting lie on this call, but so
Yeah.
information is so important. And I think that for me, aside from reading books is good. Like, my father made me read all those rich dad
That's
poor
for
kid
that.
before you
That's
get
for
it.
that.
So we read those books. And I think that for me, I began to take financial literacy very seriously when I joined your investment club. I know that I used to complain that time that, oh, this thing is too much for us to be reading. But I will read some, I will not read some, let me not lie. Right. But I knew that the time that I would sit down to read, I'm like, wow, I did not realize how, some of the things in the economy can actually even affect us as individuals. Right. So, for example, now Dangote has opened refinery, he's now selling fuel. How does that affects you as an individual? You might just think, oh, it's Dangote and that's his own business. He's now going to be a billionaire. But have you factored in how that can help your business? Whether it will help you personally or it will not help you. Have you thought about that? So financial literacy is there. So when the president says something, right? Some of us on Instagram are just catching crews that our president T-Pain has said something or he has said something and they were all abusing. But we don't know the financial implication or in terms of the economical implication. Investors might hear that abroad and not want to come and invest in this country, just different things. And then at the end of the day, you're looking at it, okay, how does this now pertain to me individually or to my business? So you need to actually read far and wide, understand your business, the business of your business, understand the key things that would affect you directly or indirectly. They just really know things. Like don't just form ignorance. Like it will not help you at all. Like you really need to understand, even if it's from reading newspaper, knowing if you don't want to read newspaper, you can follow some blogs that maybe do daily recap of things that are happening generally. Just understand what is happening. There's some times where I hear some information maybe, or I read some things, immediately I'm calling my investment banker that, oh yeah, I need to change money now, or I need to quickly put this money inside this invest. I think it was recently that they increased the rate for, which way I went to like 20% or 25%. Treasury bills, exactly. Treasury bills. So if you do not know about that, like you will not partake in it, right? So just always be on the lookout. Look beyond, okay, I'm just, narrowing down just, my business, how do I, yes, it's very good to structure your business, understand, all the things, but also think about how, these external factors can help you, right? Make informed decisions. I remember, I think I made this decision maybe like 2-3 years ago, where I was like, I want to have so much money in my mutual funds that the return on investment from it begins to pay salaries and begin to pay like other things in the company, so that we are not then using company revenue directly to pay for all the salary. So I remember speaking to our accountant and saying, how much are we going to spend on salary this year? So she gave me the figure. I calculated how much I needed to put in investments for me to be getting those returns, and that's what we're going to do, right? So things like that, like you can actually customize, shape how you want to do
I
this.
mean, that is so true. And that's something I've done in my business as well, because your direct business revenue can actually be put in an investment, like you said, low risk investments, and earn enough interest to cover your company and business expenses, right? But you just need to be aware. And
Yes,
one of the reasons why financial education is also important, and you also need to always have your investment banker or your account officer or be part of a community that shares information, because the rates change, right? I remember when rates on treasury bills were 4% or 5%, then you will not consider they are higher.
Yes,
so if you don't know it, right? And today there are also a lot of apps that offer you good returns that you can consider as well, right? So you should always consider. And one of the things you've said over and over again is the power of having the right people to ask questions, really. Your husband, your friends, being part of a community, and you even have a board, right, for your business. And I find that a lot of entrepreneurs, some of them like to work in isolation. Like it's just me, myself. One of the things I like about GWR is that you encourage a lot of collaboration and, maybe even more entrepreneurs collaborating. But I like it for you to speak to that. The power of, and a lot of people want to join my investment community, for instance, but there are over 2,000 members and you can get lost. What if you and your friends come together and say, these friends, we're all, let's set goals, let's hold ourselves accountable, let's discuss financial. That's started with 5 other friends, and I started my own investment. So just speak to that quickly, the power of having the right people around you.
So just the way they always advise us that in your marital destiny, marital journey, make sure the person that you marry can actually either make you or mar you. Is the same way with this, having like the right set of people to, right set of people around you, so that you're always constantly making, informed decisions. You cannot even know everything. So everyone's contribution, and you have to trust. And the Bible also talks about, in the multitude of counsel there is safety. So you have to, and it is your own responsibility to choose the right people around you. Don't just say, I just want, this person looks fine, this person looks like they have money, or this person. You have to do your due diligence, because as an individual, you are responsible for all of your actions. So I try to have, the right counsel around me. And then my friends as well, they are also people that share similar values and similar goals as well. So it's really easy to talk about certain things. I remember there was a time one of my friends, J Booms, she was like, Rainy, I just heard something now. I think that, you should key into this. And I thought, oh, okay, thank you. I'll, do that. Oh, quickly change money. This thing is going to skyrocket like in the next few days. Did that. And this was information normally I would have it, but maybe I might have had it after the thing had happened, right? But it was just so key that we had that. I remember, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, I was also advising like some young ladies. At that time, I'd not started the mentorship program, but I had like some mentees around me. And I said, you guys, we're always having meetings. You guys have met each other, you're friends. Why don't you consider, coming together? And these were young ladies, they were like 22, 23, 24. And I said, why don't you come together? You guys, one person might not be able to afford a property, but collectively over the next maybe 3, 4, 5 years, you guys can, work towards that. Drop the money, and then when you're done, you can then decide to split the proceeds. So if you were going to buy a building for maybe, at the time, I will not even, I think it was even land that I advised them on. So at the time, maybe they were going to purchase the land for like maybe 5M, and then each person was going to be contributing 100,000 per. No, was it 100,000 or 80,000? I can't remember. It was something, and it was like 50% of their salary at the time. And they were like, you know what? So they did it, 5, 6 of them. By the time they were now going to sell the property, it had already tripled at the time. So they were able to like, walk, away from that, and it was amicable, and I thought it was very beautiful. And I feel like that experience would then inspire them, to even do greater things. Or they can decide that, okay, at this point now, with their level of, again, everybody will be on the same level as they were 3, 4 years ago. They've increased in their earnings, and then they were able to get more from what they, shared. And then they can maybe then decide that they want to do individual investments. So there are different ways. Don't always just think that it has to be only you. You can think about trusted people and then come together and collaborate. I think guys do that better.
Honestly, I mean, guys, men do this a lot. They talk about money, and more than ever before, women need to come into their own economic power. And I'm going to share a story quickly here, because this is it happened to someone I know personally. She and 4 of her friends decided that they would start collaborating. And I believe so much in collaboration. Like, everything I do about collaboration. I even have a book about it.
I've collaborated with you, and I'm
exactly.
thanking God for
collaborated together to invest in a bond, right? So I don't just think about, this is this money, I don't have the money. How can I always say, how can I afford it? I don't say I can't afford it. Right? How can I afford it? Which is why I will not, stay and say that this is the amount of money I have, let me wait. No, collaboration. Way to win, guys. Collaboration. So I remember when I reached out, I was like, Rennie, let's match and let's do this investment together, because I knew that it was a great opportunity. So even
thank God. Because if I had waited, I'll be regretting it today. Because I told my mother the same thing that period. She kept on saying, dollar will come down. Dollar. I said, Mommy, dollar, it's not a cost.
It's funny because my parents said the exact same thing. I don't know, our parents really believe in Nigeria, but I kept telling them, and it is what it is. And you're still earning coupons on the bond, right?
Yeah. I will soon cash out now in the next few days. I will get a lot.
Right? So just to say that story quickly, I know if somebody I know personally.
And that is in dollars, so not like it's even in nairas. Let me even just put it
exactly.
out.
We're earning coupons in dollars. right?
Yeah.
And we never saw this devaluation coming, right? And
Mm-hmm.
even if you're not in Nigeria, there are options you can consider as well. So just to
Yeah,
quickly
yeah.
share a collaboration story to encourage somebody here.
Yes, yes,
So
yes.
a lady who was, she and her friends, they used to live on the mainland. Nothing wrong with the mainland, right? But they saw that then there was land available in Bagada, if you're familiar with that area in Lagos. And they put money together. I think it was a plot of land going for 2 million. So four of them put 500,000 together and they bought it.
Wow.
And this was maybe like 2 decades ago, right?
Yeah, I
Guess
can imagine.
that land appreciated 10, right? Within like 2 or 3 years. They
Mm.
sold it. They took the 10 and they came to Lekki and they bought land around on the express. Within 2 or 3 years, that appreciated to like 25 or almost 30 million. They sold it. They took that money and they put it in property. That appreciated to like 100. And, today they all own their own property within a decade.
Wow.
2 decades.
Wow.
So what if they continue to wait and said, oh, let me just, let me wait until I save my own money? Guys, the value of real estate or the value of any investment is going to keep rising. Let's be real. Inflation is real. There's one thing, one of the things I share on my YouTube channel is think about investments that grow with inflation. So don't sit down complaining that, oh, inflation is high, everything is expensive. There are investment opportunities that are growing with inflation, and real estate is
Let me quickly add this. So one of that time that I called you, I think it was 2 years ago, and I said, oh, I wanted to do this investment, blah, blah, blah. And you told me, how to go about it. And then that property at the time when I bought it, it was 45 million. And then
and
just during the week, and I had a payment plan. And just during the week, right? Because I wanted to like take some of my team members to, go there. I've not said that, okay, this property, let me just use it to do Airbnb now, right? And I just called one of the, estate managers and everything. And for some reason, I don't know how the conversation entered. I was like, Madam, do you know that your property is now worth 90 million?
Whoa,
I was like,
that's 100% in value, right?
I was like, just in 2 years. Just in 2 years, I was not thinking in my life, should I sell this thing and just collect the money? But
I change to dollars.
I was like, no, like, I'm sure that it will keep rising. And then also the return on investment in terms of like rental value, accumulating and all of that. Let me even enjoy the proceeds. So really, like, I'm grateful that I did not waste that time because of course, at every point, it seems like it is very expensive, like you cannot do it. And like you said, it was like I was like, how can I afford it? And I'm grateful that I got a payment plan. So by the time we're getting to the end of the month like this, my heart is already doing bang bang bang. But for some reason, I'll find a way to pay it. And by the time my agent sent a message and said, Madam, congratulations, you have finally finished. It was just like, oh my goodness, like I could almost cry. Because what then happens is that you have liquid money, you have excess money. If you don't have plans for that money, you will go somewhere else.
Yeah.
You will go somewhere else. So because I'm seeing it happen in our house that, we currently, so 7 years, about 7, 8, no, not 7 years, like, I don't know if I should quickly share this story. So when we just got married, my husband and I are very ambitious people and all that. So
Still ambitious.
we had said, still ambitious. We thank God. And then we said that okay, in the first 5 years of our marriage, we want to own our home. I got married at 22. My husband was 26. And I'm like, why are we rushing? Why are we having? My father did not have his own house till like 40. I think his own parents who didn't get their own house until way, way much later. So I'm like, I mean, not to like, I couldn't even wrap my head around it. But I'm grateful that he had that vision. So okay, no problem. So I think 2 years down the line, my husband, at that time we were working at KPMG, was earning 120,000. He would go to banks, he would get to the reception, they would tell him that how much is your salary? 120. They say, yes, we are sorry, I'm not the kind of person that we used to give loan to. He will carry his lie, he will go, but we're talking about it, this was something that we just, kept on saying. And so one person that we are told that this was our vision, this was our goal, a real estate developer came to their company to come and sell like, oh, okay, properties that we're starting off plan, and then you should key into it. But she already had her own property, so she was like, okay, the Molehins, they've been talking about this thing, and then they she spoke to us about it, and then she even now sold, she gave us some money and said, I want to sow into your lives, like just start this project and everything. And we're like, okay, this is it. And for the next 5 years, this was year 2 or year 3. For the next 5 years, we were on this, and then and this money that time it was 30 million for where we stay now. And the property now, at the time when we bought it like 7 years ago, was like 30 M. Now it's about 180, 190 million. And because of that sort of like just inspired, because there will be days where maybe a friend is doing wedding, they say, oh, come and buy Ashoebi. I'm thinking, this Ashoebi, you can buy 100 blocks, so let's use that money. I'm just saying this because at that time it taught us how to be disciplined, how to make certain sacrifices. Today, like if my friend was upset that I did not buy Ashoebi, I'm so sorry, but at least now we are under our own roof. Do you understand? So
Yeah.
I'm just saying, always have plans for your money. If not, it would fly away. So if you decide that you want to have like investments portfolio, you have to start with the goal and then begin to set money aside. Trust me, your money, different things are calling its attention. You see, it's not
Yeah.
wig, if it's not to go on one holiday or go
Yeah.
for a wedding, and different things will just call your attention to it. Yes.
That's such an amazing story. The power of having a goal and also having like an accountability partner. Now, for you, it was your spouse. And for me as well, a lot of times always with my spouse. But for some of you here that are not married, it can be with your friends. Because while yes, married, I also had an investment club with my friends. So yes, people that you move with a lot socially, you have friends. Hold them as accountability partners on your journey, on your investment journey. Money is important. Let's not deceive ourselves. Money is very
It's
important.
important. It's very, very
It's not enough to
important.
just sit down on social media and be saying, well, this person has bought, this person is traveling. A lot of people don't understand that what is funding some of these things is the years of sacrifice. I know,
In fact, let me
Morenike,
even bust your bubble. I think what do you say?
I said
I
that is
think
you. A lot of your
Yeah,
travel
yeah.
trips now,
I was just,
sorry, I
I was
don't
just
like
about to
the
say that
investment.
my
Yeah.
last trip to London, like it was basically from one of my returns. And I remember that I didn't have to change money at all. Like it was just I just checked one of my cards and I was like, oh, okay, there's money inside this card
The
from
return
one
of
of the
investments.
investments, from return on investment. And that's what I spent on the trip. And I was just so grateful. Like I was like,
Yeah.
thank God. Like I did not even have to like start saying, oh, Malam will come and change money and everything. It was already
Yeah.
there. So like there's
Yeah.
just so much so that you can achieve.
Yeah, amazing. And just to encourage people, what is the importance of having the right mindset even to today? Because I really empathize with a lot of people, and even me myself, we all know that it is not so easy, right? But one thing I always do is check my mindset, right? And I am always focused on opportunities. Where are the opportunities? Because it's what you focus on, you attract, right? So what's the power of having the right mindset, especially for entrepreneurs like us? If we wanted to encourage people on this call, like saying, how do you build the right mindset and continue to stay fixed on that mindset to work towards your goals?
I was just, how sometimes they say, okay, how do you advise this person to, I say, you better have sense, like have sense and it's tough love. Do you
Yes.
understand? Like, but having the right mindset is extremely important, and it's intentional work, is work that you have to do, continually. Like you can't stop. You can't say, oh, I now know it all, or I now have like this financial education, so I don't need to learn more. Like different things like our world is changing, different
Yeah.
technologies making our world change. So as it's changing like that, there are different. Imagine someone that say they want to go and invest in typewriters. It's not possible now because nobody's doing typewriter. So as the world is changing, you also need to change, with it as well. Just understanding, and again having the right people around you, always staying positive, structure, have a great goal. Okay, I know most people at the beginning of the year, everybody has like New Year resolutions, and they're like, so what I do, I don't have I have New Year resolutions, but I break them down into quarters. So I'm like, okay, in this first quarter, this is how much revenue, this is how much I want to make, and then I work towards it. If I don't hit the targets, I would the excess, what is remaining for me to hit it, I will carry it into the next. So that way, so for me, what happens is that I'm usually excited every at the beginning of every quarter. So you see that today at the beginning of a last quarter, I am
Mhm.
pumped, I'm gingered because I have like some goals that I need to set. But what happens is that this is October. Imagine if I did not have those quarterly goals and it was just in January, I would have been weary, like I would have been, you know how we see sometimes when you do
Yeah.
New Year resolution by February or March, you're already, all of that is already gone. So what happens is that those quarterly goals just help me, to stay consistent. So yeah, those are some of the things that I would just say.
Fantastic. So this has really been a great conversation. Thank you so much, Jenny. Very insightful. And I'm so proud of your journey. And I'm looking forward to even more milestones and more and more and more milestones. So thank you very much for
Thank you.
joining us.